The Prime Minister flew over the East Cape today and said parts of what he saw looked far more devastating than Cyclone Gabrielle. And as the shattered communities there plead for help, there's news that AA Insurance is now pulling back from some of our worst flood risk areas. A quiet warning that parts of New Zealand may be slipping beyond recovery. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy has all the details.
Another helicopter flight, another community in crisis, and another devastating assessment from the Prime Minister. The three Chris's, Luxon, Bishop and Pink, lifted over the East Cape today, staring down at a landscape ripped apart yet again.
The impact has been massive and deep, and in some ways what we've seen has been much bigger and deeper than what we've experienced through Gabrielle in those particular communities.
And that scale means eye-watering repair jobs.
We've got some really serious feats of engineering. When you have to move 500,000 cubic metres of soil, find somewhere to put that, that is relentless work, 5 to 6 months of work, just moving that sheer amount of soil.
Locals say what they're standing in isn't just mud, it's the breaking point of an entire region that has now years of work and costs ahead.
The damage is just mind-boggling, and most of us are affected. My house has been, although there's been nothing right through the house, I'm just in a sea of mud. The land, the section all around my house has just been absolutely obliterated.
He says the area still largely cut off has been ignored for years by successive governments.
The whole of the East Coast has been neglected because we have a very small voter base, basically. So we don't tend to garner a great deal of attention when it comes to the politicians.
But while these vulnerable communities face another rebuild, others face a new threat, not from the weather, but from insurers quietly stepping back. In places like Westport, where flooding is becoming a way of life, the fear of insurance retreat is no longer theoretical. It's happening. AA Insurance says it's reached its limit and can no longer take on new risk in parts of Westport and other flood-prone regions. This decision reflects the elevated natural hazard risk of flooding in the area and that our exposure has reached a level where a pause on new policies is the most responsible step to ensure we can be there for our existing customers when they need us most. In financial year 25 alone, AA Insurance paid out more than $532 million in claims to customers across the country.
AA have been one of the ones that have been consistently still providing insurance, so it was a bit of a surprise that they've joined that party. But yeah, I guess, it's no surprise that the insurance industry is getting a little bit concerned around their exposure to natural hazard risk in New Zealand generally.
AA says it will continue insuring current policyholders and will transfer policies to new buyers if criteria is met.
It definitely concerns me. It creates a lot of uncertainty. And of course, insurance staying but at an unaffordable level too doesn't help communities' confidence and ability to thrive either. So I think it's a huge NZ Inc. problem.
Jamie Klein says a lot of work is being done in Westport to mitigate flood risk, and the Insurance Council says that is the key here. Local councils and government putting money into mitigating risk and infrastructure resilience. The Insurance Council said insurers have consistently supported a proactive government-led approach to adaptation, working alongside councils, iwi, the private sector and other partners. The National Adaptation Framework is an important first step, but there is urgency in turning intent into action. This includes developing a national flood map to provide a trusted nationwide source of flood risk information. And communities will be watching, including in the Tauranga suburb of Papamoa, where the Papakāinga was evacuated yesterday because of slip risk.
We live by our maunga, and so any of those potential hazards, having insurance will be an issue, but it is secondary to safety, and so we will deal with the safety issue and then address those side of things. But I think insurance will be something that comes up that we will have to look at going forward.
But for many communities across New Zealand, while the floodwaters may recede, the risk of being left behind is only rising.
Kia ora, Juliet. So have you spoken to any other insurers today?
Yes, Sam, I hit the phones today to all the other major insurers across New Zealand, and the message is that while there is not widespread retreat today, across these vulnerable areas, they are certainly getting more selective. Tower Insurance says it now assesses on an address-by-address basis, and that they are still insuring low-risk homes inside these high-risk areas, adding that mitigation work can help lower the risk of those rising premiums. I also spoke with IAG, who covers a lot of those major players like State and AMI, and they say they're looking at every application very closely, directly tying acceptance and pricing to the risk of those properties. So no, there isn't widespread retreat, but they are certainly getting harder and more expensive to insure in these vulnerable parts of New Zealand.